Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ali Gohar. Tonight we're going to talk about the state of football in Pakistan and what the Pakistan Football Federation are doing to increase the sport's popularity. So we'll be speaking to someone in the Pakistan Football Federation shortly. But before we do that, our PTV World production team has prepared a package of the history of football in Pakistan. Let's listen in.
Football in Pakistan is as old as the country itself. Shortly after the creation of Pakistan in 1947, the Pakistan Football Federation was created, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, became its first patron-in-chief. PFF received recognition from FIFA in early 1948. Football is the most popular team sport in Pakistan after cricket and field hockey. Pakistan won the Colombo Cup in 1952. Pakistan has a great record in South Asian Games. It won 4 gold medals in 1989, 1991, 2004, 2006 and won a bronze medal in 1987. Although Pakistan has a vibrant diaspora of footballers playing in international leagues, here are some of the most inspiring players who give us hope that football in Pakistan can flourish. Kalimullah Khan, Jadid Khan, Riaz Ahmed, Hassan Bashir and Fazal Muhammad. These inspirational stars prove that there is no dearth of talent in Pakistan. Pakistan has also female representative football team as well, and its under-19 and under-16 category has played the Asian Football Cup qualifiers 2019 for their respective categories. Pakistan needs to pay attention to grassroots level football. There is no shortage of interest and potential amongst the youth. What we need is a long-term strategic youth development program with the slogan Catch Them Young and ample training and playing facilities across the country.
Now to discuss the current state of football in Pakistan and the future of football in the country, I've been joined by Mr. Humza Khan, who's the chairman of the Normalizing Committee in the Pakistani Football Federation. Humza Khan, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum ji.
Humza Khan, firstly, tell us about your work, the Normalizing Committee. I guess the name is pretty self-explanatory, but just tell us about what you do and where you want to go in the next few years.
Sure, thank you, Ali. So the Normalization Committee actually was put together by FIFA, as you would know, because of issues in football for the past few years. And the primary mandate of the Normalization Committee was to hold free and fair elections in the stipulated time that FIFA had given, and also to run the daily affairs of the Pakistan Football Federation till the time that those elections were conducted.
Right, now a little bit about football in Pakistan. We've done quite a few programs on football. And while football is a popular sport, it still hasn't grown the way it should have. Why do you think that is?
Well, Ali, I think you're absolutely right. I think football, not only in Pakistan but globally, is probably the most popular sport. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, for the past few years, there have been a lot of issues, primarily because of the politicization of the sport. And because of that, unfortunately, football really has been in the doldrums for the past few years, especially since 2015.
Right, so the Pakistani Football Federation has been working hard to increase the popularity of the sport, and there's no doubt, and we've talked about it for years, that the kind of talent that we've seen here, that we continue to see, is extraordinary. The top footballing stars came like Anelka, Ronaldinho, and they too understood, they saw that there was tremendous talent here. It's just unfortunate that the Pakistani Football Federation hasn't been given enough support to enhance that talent, because we all know that the Pakistani Football Federation can't do it alone. They need some help.
Yeah, well, I would slightly disagree. I actually think that the Pakistan Football Federation has had tremendous support from both FIFA and the Asian Football Confederation over the last few years, both in terms of financial support and also capacity building. It's really a matter of what you do with that support, because football development, as you would know, just like any other sport, is a long-term game, right? Like you need a long-term plan and you need to implement that long-term plan. and you need stability, and only then can you harness the talent that you're talking about. We obviously, unfortunately, have poor infrastructure. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, there was a politicization of the sport, because of which these long-term plans can be great on paper, but if you don't implement them, if you don't have a proper league that is functioning and you're having it every year, and at the same time at the youth level, if you're not having any competitions, then obviously the football will suffer and that talent will go to waste.
Right, you've already touched upon the challenges, but I'd like you to expound on the current hurdles that you face.
Well, so I think let's break it up into two components. One is obviously on the election front, which is our primary mandate, and the other is obviously football development. Now, the normalization committee on the football development side our job is really to run the affairs till the time that we hand it over to the next regime. So we're not here for a 4-year term where we can put together a plan that we can carry out for the next 4 years. What we can potentially do is obviously bring competitions back, which we've been able to do. Unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, we'd had to suspend activities on the B League. But at the same time, what we're trying to do is put together a rough plan that we can basically pass it on to the next regime that comes in. On the election front, as you must have been reading in the newspapers, otherwise, it's lack of some of the factions that have been involved in football. They haven't been very supportive in terms of sharing information or documents that are required to carry out the election process.
Right. So you'll continue to have challenges. Unfortunately, COVID has hit everybody. So things are currently at a standstill. But you seem, while you've addressed some of the hurdles that you face, and they are big hurdles, big challenges, you seem to be quite bullish about the situation, that you do see good things happening in the future.
Well, absolutely. You can't help but be bullish and hopeful. I think forget football, but our country is we survive on hope. So you have to be hopeful and be positive. And what we can do in our limited time that we are here as the normalization committee is put together some sort of a structure or framework and a plan that we could basically carry out till the time that we hold elections, and post elections we can pass that plan on to the next regime that comes in and pick it up from there and take it forward.
Right, absolutely. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the media. So whenever we talk about sport in Pakistan, other than cricket, I always feel that the kind of help that you need help from the media, people like me, because we still cover cricket more than anything else. And let's face it, it is the most popular sport. So I think it's crucial that we engage not only the private sector, we'll talk about that as well, but the media has a very, very important role to play. And unfortunately, we haven't been doing it, or not strongly enough, because if you look at other countries, they go out of their way. Yes, maybe they have the funds to do it and we don't, but they go out of their way to promote a sport and promote their athletes and their achievements.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. The way I look at it, Ali, is that we first need to look inwards. Unfortunately, the Federation has not really given the media much to talk about besides the politics of football, which is really unfortunate. If we've been having tournaments and competitions on a regular basis, then the media will obviously pick it up. There will be more conversations around the football aspect of it rather than the politics. In the last few years, all we've been talking about is, these two factions fighting against each other, and because of that, football suffering. And just like other stakeholders, the media has also been, by and large, disillusioned by following the sport. Only beyond a certain point, you don't even want to talk about the politics, right? You want to cover the sport.
It's unfortunate that politics, it gets in the way of everything really, but we know in Pakistan those hurdles are quite difficult to break through. So, we talked about your positivity about the situation. You feel like things will get better in the next few years. Tell me, where do you see Pakistani football going? While things have improved greatly, it was wonderful to see football stars coming here and acknowledging that there is a great deal of talent. So where do you see things going in the next 5 years, let's say?
Well, so again, it all depends on whoever comes in, what intention they come in with, and what they carry out in terms of the long-term development plan of football. I think that is what is going to dictate how football is going to be for Pakistan for the next 5 years. It's difficult for me to comment right now because whoever comes in, if they do exactly what was happening in the past few years, then football is going to suffer just like it did in the past few years. But one of the things, like you mentioned, that there's obviously the talent is there. Everyone knows that the talent is there. We've got talented individuals not only in football but in cricket, in hockey, and in the past we've produced many talented players that are globally recognized. It's really about the federation playing out its role of providing the platform for these players to be able to grow locally and then be able to play at an international level. So yeah, I mean, I think for us, what's important as being part of the normalization committee is to put together a plan and set a standard where whoever comes in next is, picks it up from there and takes it forward. Now, the onus is on them to carry it out in the way that they need to carry out, but wholesale changes need to happen. It can't continue in the way or in the form that it has continued in the past.
No, absolutely not. It's very important that we redress the issues that we have. And you also mentioned the importance of consistency, but it's also equally important to adapt as you go along, adapting to the challenges that come your way. We're running out of time, Humza, but just very quickly. See, I think one of the reasons why we're more people in this industry are more positive about football is because there are many people like you, people like me who love the sport. We enjoy the sport. We grew up watching football. We love the English Premier League, the La Liga. We adore it. And I think there are enough people who are passionate about the sport who can do good things. They just need to be given the room to do it. Because, as you said, it's politics that's the biggest problem here. That's what's getting in the way. And let's face it, there are also other people around who who sometimes don't quite know what they're doing, and they stifle and they stifle people who actually know what they're doing. Final thought, Humza, then we've got to wrap up.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think the idea, football is followed much more today than maybe 20 years ago, and all we can do in our capacity is to be positive and try and contribute in the best way that we can, and we can only hope that other people will follow. And politics aside, like you said, that will probably always be there, but people need to look at beyond their own vested interests. They need to look at developing the sport and contributing to the sport in a positive way. And if that happens, then why not? Football can definitely produce some great talent like cricket has in the past.
We're going to leave it at that. Humza Khan, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you, Ali.
That was Mr. Humza Khan, the chairman of the Normalizing Committee in the Pakistan Football Federation, discussing the state of football in the country. That's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time.